So my wide receiver 11 is Keenan Allen. This is kind of, I'll keep this short because we are on the onset of like a 3-hour stream here.
Well, hey, it's
crispier.
It's nice having a stream that isn't betraying us every 5 minutes, but go for it.
You're right about that. I'll keep this simple. It's a very similar, but to a lesser extent, conversation that we've had about the likes of, say, like Stephon Diggs and the Bengals wide receivers. Good players on good teams attached to good quarterbacks. Keenan Allen has been a low-end wide receiver 1 for the duration of his career. Justin Herbert is one of the best, not just young quarterbacks in the NFL, but one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL already. This is a team that revamped its offensive line, specifically on the left side of the line where they sorely needed upgrades. They drafted and addressed it. They re-signed Mike Williams. They still have good pieces in Josh Palmer and Jalen Guyton. They did not really add anybody else, though. They didn't sign a tight end. Well, they signed Gerald Everett, but they didn't sign a premier option at the position. Keenan Allen has been a low-end wide receiver 1 for his career, and he continues to be drafted that way near the top of the 3rd round of 12-team drafts. So you are drafting him around where he normally is. So, yes, he's a year older. We've already talked about how this is a while ago now, but he has suffered a couple of season-ending injuries, and he is approaching his age 30 season if he's not there already. But he's a technician at the position. He's a PPR monster. Mike Williams is more of the big play threat and gives you the chance for bigger games, more like slate-busting games. But Keenan Allen is as rock solid as they come. He is as consistent and reliable as they come. And he operates in that short intermediate area. Maybe you can almost kind of talk about him and Austin Eckler are the ones that kind of like, they're the ones who kind of, vulture each other a little bit in that short intermediate area, whereas Mike Williams is more of their downfield threat. So the argument is certainly there for Mike Williams to be in the wide receiver 1 conversation. I will give the nod to Keenan Allen, though, just because of the pedigree, and he has done it. And not much has changed in this Chargers offense, still attached to one of the best quarterbacks in the league in Herbert. In PPR leagues and in half PPR leagues, I expect Allen to maintain his regular, reliable, consistent production. Give me Keenan Allen at wide receiver 11. His teammate Mike Williams is not far behind. I like them both, but I'll give the edge to Allen as the de facto. I'll say he's the 1A. Mike Williams is the 1B.
I'm not going to disagree with literally anything you said. And
close.
I have Mike Williams here at wide receiver 11. So
the Chargers wide receivers are
right.
Yeah.
It's one of the Chargers wide receivers. You just got to pick which one you like more. Now
I like them both. I'll just give the slight nod to Allen. You give the slight nod to Williams.
And it's because of the upside that Mike Williams presents. Keenan Allen,
the big play guy. Yeah.
Yes. Keenan Allen just gets more targets, about 40 to 50 more targets on the year than Mike Williams does on a year-to-year basis. But Mike Williams is 2 to 3 years younger. He was wide receiver 10 in his own right last year, despite the 9th most wide receiver drops. So if he cleans up those drops, something that wide receivers do clean up year to year, like Deontay Johnson did just a few years ago, he can finish even higher. He was 5th in total route wins and 3rd in routes versus man. So again, two of the route win metrics that we brought up with Michael Pittman, the same statistics apply to Mike Williams. He was winning routes out there on a play-to-play basis. No target competition outside of Allen and Eckler. And he opened the last year with 6 touchdowns and 471 yards through 5 weeks. He was the wide receiver 3 in standard and the wide receiver 4 in PPR. And that is the reason.
Wide receiver 2, but yeah.
That is the reason why I have him higher than Keenan Allen, because Keenan Allen is rock solid
Yeah.
Rock solid.
100 catches in 4 of his past 5 years.
Right. He is going to be right on that wide receiver 1 borderline year after year after year until he gets phased out of the offense altogether, which
until he's
isn't
not doing it anymore.
Yeah, which isn't going to be happening anytime soon. But what he does not have is that top 3, top 4 wide receiver upside.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree.
And yes, there was a lull in Mike Williams' year last year because in week 5 he picked up a knee injury, and from weeks 5 to around probably week 10 or 11, no, a little bit less than that, week 10, he went through a little bit of a slump, but he picked it back up again when he was healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had 1 absence due to COVID, but he finished wide receiver 9 in standard and wide receiver 12 in PPR.
Yeah.
And I just, wide receiver 9 to wide receiver 12, that's where you're expecting Keenan Allen to finish in a good year.
Yeah.
Mike Williams had a lull where he didn't really do much for 5 weeks and ended up falling to wide receiver 9 and wide receiver 12 in standard and PPR.
That's a good point.
To where Keenan Allen ended up being, because Keenan Allen's just a boss, and that's just what he does year in, year out. But the ceiling that we're talking about from these guys is very different. Mike Williams just has a much higher ceiling than Keenan Allen, and it really depends on risk tolerance, which one you have at wide receiver 11. If you're going Keenan Allen, I don't hate that at all. I get it. Great wide receiver. I love Keenan Allen. I'm just going all out for that upside.
The big play swing for the fences. Yeah, no, and that's
upside.
fair. That's fair. You're not going to really get an argument from me. I would say if I had to rank my best ball rankings because of that big play upside, Mike Williams I would have ahead of Keenan Allen. I'll take I guess I slightly prefer the consistency that Keenan Allen brings to the table, and that's why I have him wide receiver 11. Mike Williams just misses my top 12. But he's damn close. He's damn good. He proved that last year. I'll take either one of these wide receivers at the end of the day. I think the Chargers passing game is one that you want to have stock in. It's just a matter of personal preference. Draft them both. Draft Allen, draft Williams.
Last year was the first year that Mike Williams had over 100 targets. He had 129 targets.
129, pretty good.
I think that's repeatable for him.
Yep.
I think that's repeatable. The receiving touchdowns should stay around the same because, again, the target distribution in this offense, we expect this team to be scoring a ton. Justin Herbert is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Mike Williams, man.
He should be in for a strong season. I like both of these Chargers receivers.
8th in red zone targets, 10th in total touchdowns. That correlates. That's not going anywhere. 9th in drops. That should get better. So he could have, another 5 receptions on the year, which might not seem like much, but if you string those up over the course of a 6-game stretch, that could be the difference between a wide receiver 2 and a wide receiver 1. It doesn't take much. And again, he wins routes. You might not think of Mike Williams as the type of wide receiver that wins routes. You might think of him more as a contested catch wide receiver with his big body and how he plays. But he has clearly learned from spending his entire career with Keenan Allen, the past 5 seasons with Keenan Allen. If he's winning routes like that with his archetype, I mean, he's when you put those two things together, he's kind of a unicorn.
Yep.
6'4", 218, but a savvy route runner too, not just winning with size.
Right, with big play
not
upside.
not even T. Higgins, who we both love, can say that he's winning. He's winning a ton of routes out there. He's not. He's not bad, but he's not winning routes at a top 5 rate in the NFL. Mike Williams is, and he's tied to one of the best young quarterbacks in the league, who finished quarterback 2 last year.